Since we know the engine runs so remarkably beautifully, it's time to put the valve covers back on. I cleaned them up a little bit, not a bunch. I mean, the rest of the engine bay's pretty raunchy, but I mean, that's not bad, you know, considering this paint is from 1959. It's all gonna flake off really anyway. The dirt was what was holding it on. But anyway, for putting the valve covers back on, we gotta get new gaskets. So I have my Pro gaskets, and believe it or not, they don't fit as nice as I thought they would, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm taking my RTV and I'm gluing the gaskets to the valve covers first, and then after they dry, we'll put RTV on the other side and bolt them down on the motor. Pretty simple, but I'm hoping that the fact that you can see the valve covers being green, and it will match the air cleaner on the car, and it will look just a little bit better. With the valve covers on, we can move on to the next issue, which is this fuel pump. So, sadly enough, they don't make a new one. I can't just go on eBay or whatever and buy a new pump and throw it on and be done. I have to get a rebuild kit. And there's a bunch of rubber diaphragms inside of here. And they make a kit, it's about 50 bucks, so it's about the only way that we have to do anything with this fuel pump. That's pretty gross. So I'm going to take it apart and see what it looks like inside. And I bet you all the rubber inside is going to be all kinds of messed up and all brittle. From there, we can work on getting this water pump off, which with the fuel pump out of the way should be a little bit easier. But take a look at this. You ever seen? That's just the worst water pump ever. No wonder it was howling so badly. But it shouldn't be that bad of a job. Since I need to replace the radiator hoses anyways, I might as well take the water pump off and get that fixed and put the new one back on. Alright, the first thing we see when we pop open this top part is, I'm guessing this is a seal, I don't know, but it's kind of warped and crappy. Don't know if the new kit comes with that, but looking inside of here, there's some really gross stuff in there. I doubt any of that rubber is any good. So basically what happens is this runs on the cam and it pumps fuel from one side of the pump to the other side and then out. And I believe the diaphragm's in the bottom, so I'm going to take out these, what is there, 10 screws and take this apart and see what the bottom half looks like. You guys ready to see the inside of this? I haven't pulled it apart yet. It's hard to do with one hand. I thought I got all the screws out. I do. I'll have to put you guys down. Take a look at that diaphragm. It's like chunky hard. There's no way that pumped any kind of gas at all. Time for a rebuild kit. Here's the inside of the pump. I had to rip everything apart. This diaphragm basically had turned rock hard. But this is basically the diaphragm right here. It goes up and down and creates fuel pressure. The spring's good, but all this looks like cloth and rubber parts are just no good anymore. So that will have to be replaced. Luckily it's not too bad of a job. Alright, so got to replace this water pump, and the drain on the radiator is seized and I don't want to break it off. So what I did was I stabbed the lower hose with a screwdriver and I'm draining all the coolant out that way. I have a new lower hose, so it's not that big of a deal, but what it lets me do is now I'm able to disassemble the top, and then I can move on to the water pump and the belts and all that kind of stuff and get all that stuff off. I can also see what kind of the color of coolant that's coming out. Right now it's more of a brown than anything, but if you look at this bottle, it's mostly green for the most part, which is good. It's better than it being really rusty and just straight up water. The next step for getting this water pump off is I had to get these belts off. I could have just cut them, but since I have to put new ones on anyway, you have to loosen up this bolt on the top of the generator and then the bolts underneath. You know, that moves in and out, which then gives you some leeway to get these belts off. They need replaced. They're really old. Who knows how long they would have lasted, but did I ever show you that yet? Look at that. Hope maybe it's just loose, but I doubt it. I bet that water pump is just toast. Water pump was $50, so to me it was worth, you know, spending the money on it. Check out this water pump. Can't tell if it's just loose or if that's really the pump, but either way, it's probably good to replace it. I know the radiator has to come out in order to get this pump out, because, or at least to get the fan and the pulley off, because there's bolts right here that hold it all on. Maybe I can get a wrench in there and see if I can't get that off without taking the radiator out. Either way, the radiator will get flushed, so I just don't want to mess with these transmission lines right here. That's what I don't want to mess with. Took long enough, but we do have some evidence of water pump failure. So the first is there's some pretty fresh goo on the inside of this pulley. You can kind of see where it's been splattering around as it's been spinning. Next, you have all this crap that's in the seal right here. And then next, you have that noise. It's totally shot. I'm surprised it doesn't leak out like a sieve out of that. But nothing that a new one won't fix. Yeah, pretty bad. Let's see if the crank does that. Well, that one looks okay. We'll get to that a little bit later. Clean it up and get the timing marks open. But now we got to take some of the hoses. There's a hose here, hose there, and the main hose off of it before we can get it all out. But it looks like it's a pretty simple water pump, luckily for us.